Hey, what's going on, everyone? I just wanted to make a quick buying guide video before I got rid of some IEMs. So yeah, on to the left we have the cheapest IEMs, and to the right we have the most expensive IEMs. So yeah, basically if I didn't have too much money, or if I wanted the best sound quality for the price, I would get the Final Audio E1000. Um, this is just a really balanced IEM. It doesn't do that many things wrong. And even though I have some of these pairs, I still use this when I don't want to think too much about the sound, or um, I don't want to take an expensive IEM on the go. This is what I usually grab. It's balanced. It doesn't emphasize any frequency. It's clean, clear. You're not going to get that much treble air or anything like that, but not bad at all. So yeah, that would be my pick for the $20 price bracket. And obviously you could get the blonde BLO3, but for me that was too V-shaped. I didn't like that. And in terms of detail, I do think the blonde and the Final Audio E1000 are pretty similar. So yeah. And then when we get to the $100 price point, my pick would be the ER2SE or the Olina. So yeah, those are my favorite IEMs for that price bracket. The Olina performs very well. The bass goes low. The mid-range is present, clear, articulate, and it works for me. And I didn't find it harsh or sharp, so you might have to lower the volume a little if you're having that issue. But other than that, the soundstage is really good. The imaging is really good. So I didn't have much issues with that. Portrayed the sound in a nice manner. So yeah, that's what I thought about the Olina. And then the ER2SE is also a really, really good IEM. Would be my top pick for about $100, and I haven't heard anything that sounds better than it for the price. The bass won't go as low as the Olina, and I thought the Olina had better treble extension. But the mid-range on this is amazing, and the soundstage and imaging is pretty decent. So yeah, that's what I thought. Some people might find some of these shouty, but I noticed some cheaper pairs do have some shout. So it's not going to be like uber refined. It might be a little shouty. So I just want to note that. And then for about 150 or under 200, I would go with the C Audio Yume. So where the C Audio Yume is lacking is it won't have the most detail even compared to cheaper pairs like the ER2SE or the Olina. But what it does exceptionally well is it's very, very natural. Like one of the most natural IEMs I heard. If you like vocals, if you like instruments, it's going to sound really good, but you won't get the best soundstage or imaging. So in terms of just musical enjoyment, I think the C Audio Yume would be my pick for under 200. So yeah, that's what I thought about that. And then this is like around the $200 price point. So my favorite is the ER4SR, because this IEM gives me the benchmark of what other IEMs should sound like. And it has really, really good imaging. It has really good, a decent sense of space. Everything's spread out, not claustrophobic. So yeah, that would be my pick. And then a Timeless is about 200 also in that price range. So that would be my pick. But one issue I do have with the Timeless is it sounds thin. It lacks depth to the sound because it's a planar. So you don't get natural decay. Everything might sound too fast and lack that refinement in the sound compared to a balanced armature or a dynamic driver. So that's what I thought. And then for about $500, my top pick would be the Moondrop Variations. Really good bass, clean and clear mid-range, slightly, ever so slightly thin mid-range, and the treble is spot on, very, very airy, just amazing. So yeah, you could get the Moondrop variations, or you could get the Sony IER M7. So the M7 will have a better sense of imaging, but this has a better sound in the bass, mids, and treble notes. So yeah, Moondrop variations. I like it more than the IER M7. That's why I have it here. So comparing the Moondrop to the Timeless, the Moondrop just has overall more of a body to the sound, more depth, more natural decay, more clarity, and more refinement in the treble notes. So that's what I thought. And then in the $1,000 price point, my top pick would be the IER M9. I might return this. I don't know yet. It just sounds so good. So yeah, it's really, really good. So basically what the IER M9 does exceptionally well compared to some of the other pairs is the decay of the sound. So when you listen to a flute, you do get that reverberating effect. The bass is not boosted like it is on the variations. Get the right amount of bass. And then the details that you could pick up on the Sony IER M9 is absolutely amazing. One of the most detailed IEMs I've ever heard. The sound is spread out, the layers of the instruments, the clarity, no BA timbre, where on the variations, you do get that slight bit of wispiness or that texture. But with the IER M9, I never noticed like any issues. So when you do get up to this price point, you have to notice that you have to know something about audio. Like this IEM won't boost any frequency. It sounds neutral and warm. So yeah, that's what I thought. So the variations on the other hand has a slightly thin mid-range. And on the M9, it doesn't have a thin mid-range. So if I had to rate the detail retrieval, I'd give the variations in probably an A grade, but I'd give the M9 like a S minus. So it is more detailed than the variations. It just does a better job of separating the sound. The texture of the voices is more natural, more realistic. So yeah, for about that price point, I would get the IER M9. And then the best IEM I've ever heard is a U12T. It's just the best bass I've ever heard. It goes all the way low. When a track emphasizes bass, I thought the U12T portrayed it the most accurately compared to some of these other pairs. And then compared to the M9, I do think the M9 is really close to the U12T. So if you don't want to go that far, then just get the M9. This should be endgame for most people. So yeah, that's what I thought. And then the U12T will have more treble air and even more reverb than the IER M9. So the IER M9 already does an excellent job. So yeah. So overall, like if you're on a budget and you want the best sound, under 100, I'd go with the ER2S here, the Olina. They're really good IEMs. And then if you want a smooth sound or you get fatigued easily by treble, go with the C Audio Yume. It's really relaxing, never sharp, never harsh. Yeah, it's just a smooth sound, very smooth. And then the Timeless could get a little sharp for some people or too much treble because of the planar sound. So that's the Timeless. In terms of resolution, I think the ER4SR and the Timeless are pretty close. This just has more spice up top, and this one sounds more neutral, not boosted. And then the variation has a very airy sound. You get a good sound stage. So I am going to note the variations has the most bouncy bass out of any of these IEM. The dynamic driver in here is really, really good. It's like you're listening to a subwoofer. So it's very, very bouncy. And none of these IEMs have that bounce to the bass like the variations. So yeah, those are my views. And then the M9's bass is good. It goes low, but it's not textured as well as the U12Ts. So in terms of bass texture and tightness, U12T is the best. Everything stays in its pockets in terms of the details. So nothing gets in the way of anything. Where on the M9, the bass could bleed into the lower mid-range. U12T doesn't have that issue. And then variations, the mid-range is slightly thin. But yeah, these three IEMs don't have that many issues with the sound. They're just amazing. So yeah, that's what I thought. And yeah, hopefully you guys found that helpful. And I'll see you guys in the next one.